When I was a kid, I absolutely loved to watch animal shows, okay? National Geographic and, anything. And there was one in particular I remember, Jacques Cousteau. Some of us are old enough to remember Jacques Cousteau, right? He was kind of the Steve Irwin of our day. And he was always off on these scuba diving adventures, and you would see all these amazing things and animals, okay? And so now you think back a minute, when you envision a shark swimming through the water, the shark is never alone. Okay? So picture that in your mind for a minute. And if you need a hint, it's right there for you. Okay? The funny thing about sharks is they have these other animals. There's pilot fish and there's remora fish that swim along with the shark. And you think, what is wrong with these fish? Right? If I'm that little fish, I'm not going to be near that shark. I'm as far away as I can be. But the funny thing about this is there's kind of a relationship that develops between the shark and the fish. And they both get something out of this relationship. And in biology, it's called symbiosis. And there's different kinds of symbiosis. In this case, watch this little guy. He's crazy. He's going right in the mouth of the shark. And he'll come back out in a couple of seconds here. Right? And again, you see all these other fish hanging around. And what's he doing in there? That's his dentist. He's cleaning his teeth. Okay? These little fish, these pilot fish and the remora fish, they have a relationship with sharks. And they get something out of this relationship. If you had noticed earlier, there was another fish in the background. Big fish. Wasn't as big as a shark, but it was kind of hanging around too. But if I'm one of those pilot fish or remora fish, and I'm hanging out near, if I'm hanging out near the shark, I know the barracuda's not going to come after me. Okay? This is like in high school when you got the big, strong guy who's your buddy, who keeps you safe, right? So the shark is taking care of the fish, keeping them safe, and in exchange, the fish are keeping the shark clean. Because if you've seen sharks eat, they're messy eaters. They're nasty. There's blood and flesh everywhere, and it gets all over the shark, all over his skin, in his mouth, everywhere. And if it just sits there, it's going to rot, and it's going to make that fish or that shark sick. And so these little fish, they clean the shark. So the shark is getting something out of this too. These guys are partners. And we call this mutualism because both parties get something out of this. It's mutually beneficial. And that's how we want our communities to work. Everybody should be contributing and everybody gets something out of it. Everybody puts something in, everybody gets something out. Okay? But it doesn't always work that way, does it? Okay? And, we can get to the point where, as leaders, we can get bitter too. And we can complain and we can say, nobody else is helping, I'm doing everything. And that's not mutualism anymore. Now that is a relationship of parasitism. So again, on that first chart, you could see there was this fish that was literally attached to the shark, and it was sucking blood out of it. We got mosquitoes, we got ticks, we got all kinds of critters out there that are parasites, and they will feed off of the host, and eventually they will kill the host. And the same thing is true of communities. right? So there are people within a community, they don't contribute anything. All they're doing is sucking off the welfare of the whole, and they're feeding themselves. They're not contributing anything. Sometimes those people are followers. Sometimes, they're just living off the welfare of the community. But oftentimes, those parasites are also leaders. Because sometimes we have leaders who live off the welfare of what the community produces, and they're taking care of themselves. They're getting rich. And the community is suffering. And it doesn't matter which way it goes. If you hit a certain point, the community is going to die, whether it's the leader that's the parasite or the followers, because this is a system. And a system either lives or dies as a whole. It doesn't live in part. It's like if your body gets cancer, okay? You got to kill the cancer. It is a parasite in your body, and if you don't kill that cancer, eventually it will kill you. Right? So this is how, again, we need to understand communities, and we can take this idea and we can apply it to our pilgrimage story as well. So, in the first part of the story, we have Leo, the leader. He's doing everything, and all of the guys that are with him, they're just living off of him. They're not contributing to the welfare of the group. Okay? And so that community suffers and it dies because eventually leaders get tired. They can only do that for so long, and then they're like, I give up. I'm moving on. We gotta help them out.